Are you a savvy penny pincher or an indulgent jet setter? Are you torn between roughing it on a budget or living it up in luxury? But which one suits your travel style? Are you a thrifty adventurer, eager to stretch your budget and immerse yourself in the local culture? Or perhaps you prefer the finer things in life, seeking out luxury experiences that leave you feeling rejuvenated and inspired. In today's video, we're diving into the world of travel expenses to help you discover which type of traveler you truly are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. My name is Trinice West, and our channel is The Traveling West. My husband Kevin and I recently retired, and our channel is all about retirement and travel. Today, we're looking at the question, what type of traveler are you? This is important to know when you're planning your travel and your budget. It is also a useful conversation to have with your significant other or anyone else who is traveling with you. Traveling can bring out the best and worst in people. I have traveled with people that I said afterwards, never again. And I have traveled with friends that I would love to vacation with all the time. So it's important to know so that you can create a budget that will carry you on your trip without breaking the bank or causing you to have a miserable experience with regrets, wishing there were things that you'd done or that you didn't spend too much money or that you would have spent more if you could have. So this is an opportunity to really examine what type of traveler you are and how much you like to spend on your trips. No judgment. You be you. This is your life, and you have to live it the way you want to, because at the end of the day, it's not anyone else's life, it's yours. So you should spend as much as you want or as little as you want, because it's your money. You earned it, and you should spend it like you want. So you shouldn't feel guilty if you spend a lot of money on your trips, and you shouldn't feel, horrible if someone says, "Oh, I wouldn't go through all that trouble to save that amount of money." It's up to you, and it's your budget and what works for you. I've heard people say that, that they will say, don't do that. That's too much money to spend on a certain thing, or you should save your money or do whatever. You have to do what's best for you and your family and the priorities that you guys have created and set together for your travel. So have fun and enjoy it, the planning process and the trip itself, and all the memories that you'll have afterwards. Now, I've identified three different types of travelers. You have the high rollers, go big or go home. You have the middle of the road. You have the glad to go budget travelers. They're just happy to be able to travel. Now, let's look at some budget categories. These are common expenses no matter what type of traveler you are. Everyone has to have lodging, a place to stay. You have to be able to get there and to get around with transportation. And then food, of course, we all have to eat, and entertainment and activities. So let's start with our high rollers. Go big or go home. They love the finer things. Trips are big and over the top. They may only travel a few times out of the year, or they may travel as frequently as several times a year, or maybe full-time travelers can still be high rollers as well. Cost is not a concern because they can afford it, or they want to treat themselves because they feel they work very hard and they've earned it. High rollers travel anytime of year, and they can travel to specific destinations. They're not limited by budget. And in most cases, someone else plans everything. So it's really nice. So, far as lodging, they're looking at high end hotels, luxury accommodations, and resorts. For transportation, it's first class flights with lounges, private shuttles, etc. Food, They eat at the resorts or high end restaurants. They may have chefs to come cook at their accommodations where they're staying. For entertainment and activities, they may have private or small group tours, and then they will hit up the popular sightseeing attractions if they wish, or they may do something that's a little a specially designed activity, something that someone's put together just for them. Now we're going to go to the other end of the spectrum. These are the glad to go budget travelers. These travelers are just happy that they can travel. And we started off our travel just this way. We were just so happy to go on our first vacation. And it was very small and it wasn't a huge place, but oh, it was wonderful. They look for bargains and they do a lot of research to save money. Some are backpackers and others move slowly to reduce their costs. They travel during low season, and their travel may be based upon the cost of the location. So they may do Alaska in the winter and Merida, which we just returned from, in the summer when it's hot. And they may go to a place during the rainy season, but they're more focused on, hey, this gives me the opportunity to be able to travel to these places that I normally would not be able to afford to do. So I admire people that it doesn't matter to them. They just want to travel and they just make the best of it. And they have the positive attitude about, this is when I can go. I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy it. So with lodging, some of these guys stay in hostels. They may stay in inexpensive hotels. They may do weekly or monthly stays, like on Airbnb, so you can get the discounted rate. As far as transportation, they'll use public transportation. They may use budget airlines, buses, and trains, their own 2 feet to get back and forth. They move less frequently to save on costs, and they have long travel days. As far as food, they cook many meals at their accommodation. They may eat street food. They eat where the locals eat. They go to the grocery store a lot. And as far as eating where the locals eat at, a lot of times their meals would be just as rich and as delicious as someone eating at a high-end restaurant. Sometimes I've eaten at bars or restaurants, hole in the walls, and they're like some of the best food ever. So they're not necessarily skimping on quality or taste just because they're eating in local areas or places that are, less expensive. They may go to happy hour or go to restaurants during lunch just so they can get that menu where it's cheaper and it's discounted to save money. Also, as far as entertainment and activities, they do a lot of research, they do a lot of DIY tours, low cost activities. They more focus on experiencing the culture more than a focus on expensive and pricey touristy activities. Okay, last but not least is the middle of the road. These travelers straddle the fence between a high and low budget. They are happy that they can travel and they do as much as they can as inexpensively as they can. They look for bargains. They do a lot of research to save money. But they also do things that are on their bucket list despite the cost. So if there's somewhere where they've saved up or they've saved and not spent a whole lot to get there, they may splurge and say, hey, this is something I really want to do, and we may not get back to this area. So I'm going to do it while I'm here. And so they will splurge on things like that. They travel during the high, the low, and the shoulder season. They're just looking for a bargain, but they also are not skimping on where they want to visit. They do a mix of expensive locations with low cost destinations. As far as lodging, they stay in hotels, they'll use sales when things go on sale, and they'll use points. A lot of times with budget travelers, it's difficult sometimes to use points because you do have to have a minimum spend on your um, credit cards. And so it may be difficult for them to make the minimum spend because of either costs, how much it costs, or it could be that they're not spending that much. So yeah, it'd be difficult just to reach that threshold. And also, some people don't like using credit cards, which is fine. Because if you are going to use credit cards, you need to make sure that you're paying them off every month. Because if you don't, then you've kind of lost the savings that you get from doing travel hacking. So, middle of the road people use travel hacking a lot. They also do the weekly and the monthly stays at Airbnb and places like that so they can get the discounted rate. As far as transportation, airline points for sure, public buses, transportation, trains, Ubers, their own 2 feet. So lots of different ways. They're more flexible. They're more open to doing things at both ends of the spectrum. As far as food, they cook some meals at their accommodation. They may also eat street food and eat what the locals eat and go to the grocery store. They'll do the happy hour and the lunch menu to save money, but they also splurge on high end restaurants and the high end things to do. So, as far as entertainment and activities, they research to find inexpensive ways to do some of the same high roller activities. Um, and so they'll find a tour or whatever, and they'll duplicate it, but they'll try to do it in an inexpensive way.
So, we talked about the three different types of travelers. So, you have the um, glad to go budget travelers. We would say that on average, they would probably spend between 2 and 4,000 per month on their travel with their expenses. The middle of the road would spend between 4,000 and 8,000 per month on with their travel costs, and then the high rollers, go big or go home, would probably spend between 8,000 and up per month. Now, these are just estimates that I've come up with doing my research. You may look at these numbers and say 2,000 to 4,000 a month is a lot, or it may be really low. And so you may have it's all based on perspective and what you consider to be high, middle, or low. And but these are the numbers that I came up with. And it's just, this is fluid and it's just based on your background, your experience, and your budget.
So I know what you're asking. Which one are you guys? We are the middle of the road. Our budget is about 5,000 per month, and some of you may say, "Wow, that's a lot of money." And then some people may say, "Wow, how are you able to travel with just that amount of money?" So it's all relative. It's based on what you can afford, what your priorities are when you're traveling, what part of the country you're from, how much you make, and that type of thing. So for us, this is our budget, and I will try to do a future video. We talk about our travel budget, how we came up with that number. 5,000 a month is what we spend, and for us, this is a bit of a deal compared to where we were living and spending. All the responsibilities that we have with the McMansion and all the cars and all the things like this. So, this is a great bargain for us, and this is a budget that we came up with. And hopefully we can stick with this budget. It may end up being more or less. We're going to try. Hopefully it will be less. But we're just starting this journey, and we hopefully we'll get better at it. So we base our travel destinations on the most inexpensive place to go to in an area of the world that we are interested in going. So, for instance, we're putting together a trip for to go to Asia at the end of this year. And so what we did was we looked at the United States and say, where's the cheapest airport that we can fly out of to get us to whatever the most inexpensive city in Asia. And so that's where we're going to land, and then we'll move around from there. So I will try to do a future video about how we plan our trips. So we look at that, and then we also look at what is the cost of living for that location, because a lot of times it may be an inexpensive flight, it might be a deal on accommodations, but once you hit the ground and you may get there and go, oh my goodness, this is very expensive. That happened to us in Paris. So you need to make sure that you also look at the cost of living for that location, because it may seem like a good deal until you land and you're like, oh my goodness, because that's happened to us several times. And so hopefully we are getting better and more savvy travelers, and that won't happen quite as much. We do use travel hacking for our flights as much as possible, and that's when you're using your credit card points for flights and hotels and things like that. We've been using them for flights, and hopefully, as we're learning more about how to travel, we will be using hotels more. I want to try some of that this year and see how that goes. And like I said, people in the middle of the road, especially in U.S., we have that privilege to be able to do this. And so we're trying to use it for as long as we can while the program still exists. Hopefully, it never goes away. So that's a big part of how we travel. We also use public transportation, and hopefully, as we're getting better at that, so you've probably seen some of our videos, all the stuff we have. So we're trying to pare down each trip. We are just doing less and less and less, and so hopefully, when we're a little bit more I guess a lighter as far as clothes. Could be on food too, on weight, body wise too. But as far as our luggage, we may be able to use more public transportation because it won't be as much of a hassle to drag our suitcases and things around. Also, we use our own 2 feet. We absolutely love to walk, and we walk a lot, and it's our exercise. It's an easy exercise. We just need a pair of sneakers. You don't have to worry about gyms and that kind of thing. And then also, so it's our exercise. It's also a great way for us to learn about the hidden places that you wouldn't normally see if you're driving or riding. So we'll find little tucked away cafes and things that are tucked away that, we're like, oh, we have to come back here and eat or explore or see. So we use our 2 feet a lot. We also have long travel days, which, reconsidering. Um, Kevin's usually go with the flow, where I'm like, so long travel days. A lot of times we're looking at flights and it may be like 2 layovers. And so we'll look at each other and say, well, we're tired. We have the time. So a lot of times we will book those and have the long travel days so that we can save. So it's either time or money. In this case, we do have the time. So we'll use our time to save the money. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully, like I said, we get better at all of these things. Another thing that we do is we get to an area and we do as much as we can near that location. So, for instance, when we get to Asia, whatever country we fly into, we're going to try to go to as many places and countries and things that are near where we landed while we're in that area. So we don't have to pay to come back to that area again, which we probably will be doing some adjacent places. And some places we are going to do do-overs, but as much as we can, we're going to try to do as many new places as we can. Our lodging usually consists of long-term stays in Airbnbs, and we can get hotel deals. I use Booking.com a lot too. And if you have any suggestions for ways to save on accommodations, please, please, please put in the comments. I would appreciate it. That's something that I'm struggling with, is trying to get those costs down. Right now, those are our biggest costs. So trying to get that down. And this year, we used to try to stay a long time, but some of the travel that we plan for this year, and I'll try to do a future video about that the rest of our year, we're going to be moving a lot faster than I would prefer. This is going to be more Kevin style, moving faster. But so you do save when you move a lot slowly, move slowly. We also do a combination of eating out, cooking at our Airbnbs, or eating complimentary hotel breakfasts if they have it. We normally eat 2 meals a day, so we'll shift if there's a complimentary breakfast. We may shift and eat that versus something later. But if nothing else, we'll get the coffee because coffee shops and things like that can quickly add up. So we definitely try to do that. We also do tons of research as much as we can. If we're going to a lot of places like some of the places we're doing this year, it's tough to do a lot of research, but we try to do as much as we can, because if you do the work versus what the high rollers are, putting that on someone else or paying someone else to do that, you can save a whole lot of money. So a lot of times we do find a tour that we like, and we're like, oh, how can we do it ourselves? We have been taking more tours than I would like, but it's just the putting the time in. It takes time to put them together. So sometimes if we don't have the time and it's something I want to do, or we want to do, we'll just go ahead and pay it. So that's why we said we're middle of the road. But we try to do as much as we can as inexpensively as we can while we're healthy and we're able to do it. We also try to do a lot of things that are more physical because at this stage in our lives we can move around a lot more. We may stay in Airbnbs that are a lot of steps or hills that you have to climb like we did in Puerto Vallarta. Um, so we do a lot of that because right now at this stage we feel like we're able-bodied enough to be able to do that. And if it saves us money, we will do that as well. And then our whole philosophy is that the money that we save will allow us to take another trip. We could do high roller, but then we wouldn't be able to go as much. So we do try to save where we can so we can do another trip.
The importance of compromise. It is difficult to get anyone to agree on anything. At the beginning of the video, I talked about how it's difficult to travel with people sometimes. Sometimes when you're traveling with someone, you're having a wonderful time. And then at other times, you may be on a trip where you're watching the clock and you can't wait for it to be over. My advice is to travel with people who are willing to compromise and make sure that everyone is having a great time. This is especially true if you're traveling extensively for long periods of time with the same people or if you're a couple traveling together. You give a little to get a little. In our marriage, I'm the frugal one, and Kevin is more of the let's live it up because we may not make it back to this area again. We complement each other because Kevin makes sure that we enjoy ourselves and do nice things, and I try to make sure that we enjoy ourselves and don't run out of money.
What type of traveler are you? And what will it cost for you to travel, or what does it cost for you to travel? Whether you're a budget backpacker or a luxury connoisseur, there's no one size fits all approach to travel. So answer those questions and make a plan, create a budget, and just do it. You're only limited by your imagination. So embrace your unique travel personality and embark on the journey of a lifetime tailored to your preferences and your passions. So, what type of traveler are you? Please put in the comment below and let us know and share with us. So, we thank you and appreciate you for watching our videos. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join us in our future videos for travel tips, hopefully inspirations, things that we did right, did wrong, and join us on our ventures. So until next time, safe travels, everyone. Take care.